But yeah, that baby was looking like, I can't believe I'm back here again. Now you got to start all over with a whole different set of family and friends and everything. You got to start at the very beginning. I'm like, whew, boy, you should have completed your assignment last time they sent you here. Yeah, so my plans is I plan on completing my assignment this time. Like I'm waking up, like, don't send me back to this place. It's a video. Tiffany, can you send it? Can you send it to Uncle Nat? Matter of fact, look, if you go to my page, Uncle Nat, you'll actually see it. I gotta post it. I actually just posted a few minutes ago. It's a little clip. You'll see a picture of a baby. Um, but click on it. It's not a picture. It's actually like a 10, 15-second video. So if you go click on it, you'll see exactly what we're talking about. Read the comments though. Okay, y'all. It's my penis. Here we go. But it was hilarious. I literally watched it 10 times. And then I went through, read all the comments. But I guess if that's true, that would explain some people, some souls that come into this world and they seem like they old souls, like they've been here before, right? At a certain point, and when they're understanding or what they can recognize has fully been covered, so they kind of like give you a glimpse. Yep, you back. You know that assignment you had last time you was here on Earth. Yeah, the same one applies to you. Go get this done. We reset your time. All right, try it again. You'll get it. Well, once you get it, you ain't got to come back. That's why I be thinking that sometimes. I don't really know for sure. For real. I don't know. I'm joking, but sometimes I'm like serious. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, but all right, y'all. Happy Friday. Lavon, blessings. Auntie, Belinda Brown, shalom. All right, y'all. Happy Friday. Why am I so happy? Because it's Friday. It's Friday. August the 20th, 2021, day 238 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 907. Today we are reading Ezekiel 41, 42, and 43. And then we're picking up in Fossilized Customs where we left off at on page 341. Okay, y'all. Go ahead and do the Shema. Y'all want to know what we're talking about, just go to my Facebook page and click on that last post with that baby. It's like a 15-second clip. You'll see what we're talking about. Okay, pull up the Shema. Shema. Remember, the Shema is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6, starting at verse 3. Hear, therefore, is, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the mighty one of our fathers, has promised us, in a land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our mighty one, he is one. And you shall love Yahuwah, your mighty one, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah, our mighty one, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah, our mighty one, as he has commanded us. All right, y'all, let's get to it. Ezekiel chapter 41. Put this right channel. Okay. Dream Sky Love, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. All right. And all those present, they just lurk in the background. After that, the man brought me into the sanctuary of the temple. Remember, yesterday, Ezekiel is being shown this vision of things in the future, and this man dressed in white linen, and he's in the measuring rod. Shayla, hey girl, hey. So it's continuing on with what he saw and what he saw him measure. Ezekiel chapter 41. And after that, the man brought me into the sanctuary of the temple. He measured the walls on either side of its doorway, and they were 10.5 feet thick. The doorway was 17.5 feet wide, and the walls on each side of it were 8.75 feet long. The sanctuary itself was 70 feet long and 35 feet wide. Then he went beyond the sanctuary into the inner room. He measured the walls on either side of its entrance, and they were 3.5 feet thick. The entrance was 10.5 feet wide, and the walls on each side of the entrance were 12.25 feet long. The inner room of the sanctuary was 35 feet long and 35 feet wide. This, he told me, is the most holy place. Ali Shalom. Shalom. Then he measured the wall of the temple, and it was 10.5 feet thick. There was a row of rooms along the outside wall. Each room was 7 feet wide. These side rooms were built in 3 levels, one above the other, with 30 rooms on each level. The support for these side rooms rested on exterior ledges on the temple wall. They did not extend into the wall. Each level was wider than the one below it, corresponding to the narrowing of the temple wall as it rose higher. A stairway led up from the bottom level through the middle level to the top level. I saw that the temple was built on a terrace, which provided a foundation for the side rooms. This terrace was 10.5 feet wide. The outer wall of the temple's side rooms was 8.75 feet thick. This left an open area between these side rooms and the row of rooms along the outer wall of the inner courtyard. This open area was 35 feet wide, and it went all the way around the temple. 2 doors opened from the side rooms into the terrace yard, which was 8.75 feet wide. One door faced north and the other south. A large building stood on the west facing the temple courtyard. It was 122.5 feet wide and 157.5 feet long, and its walls were 8.75 feet thick. Then the man measured the temple, and it was 175 feet long. The courtyard around the building, including its walls, was an additional 175 feet in length. The inner courtyard to the east of the temple was also 175 feet wide. The building to the west, including its 2 walls, was also 175 feet wide. Trina, hey girl, hey. Lisa, shalom, shalom. The sanctuary, the inner room, and the entry room of the temple were all paneled with wood, as were the frames of the recessed windows. The inner walls of the temple were paneled with wood above and below the windows. The space above the door leading into the inner room and its walls inside and out were also paneled. All the walls were decorated with carvings of cherubim, each with 2 faces, and there was a carving of a palm tree between each of the cherubim. One face, that of a man, looked toward the palm tree on one side. The other face, that of a young lion, looked toward the palm tree on the other side. The figures were carved all along the inside of the temple, from the floor to the top of the walls, including the outer wall of the sanctuary. There were square columns at the entrance to the sanctuary, and the ones at the entrance of the most holy place were similar. There was an altar made of wood, 5.25 feet high and 3.5 feet across. Its corners, base, and sides were all made of wood. This, the man told me, is the table that stands in Yahuwah's presence. Both the sanctuary and the most holy place had double doorways, each with 2 swinging doors. The doors leading into the sanctuary were decorated with carved cherubim and palm trees, just as on the walls. And there was a wooden roof at the front of the entry room to the temple. On both sides of the entry room were recessed windows decorated with carved palm trees. The side rooms along the outside wall also had roofs. Next chapter, Ezekiel Chapter 42. Rooms for the priests. Were they still building for giants? I don't know, Tiffany. Then the man led me out of the temple courtyard by the way of the north gateway. We entered the outer courtyard and came to a group of rooms against the north wall of the inner courtyard. This structure, whose entrance opened toward the south, was 175 feet long and 87 and a half feet wide. One block of rooms overlooked the 35-foot width of the inner courtyard. Another block of rooms looked out onto the pavement of the outer courtyard. The two blocks were built 3 levels high and stood across from each other. Between the two blocks of rooms ran a walkway 17 and a half feet wide. It extended the entire 175 feet of the complex, and all the doors faced north. Each of the 2 upper levels of rooms was narrower than the one beneath it because the upper levels had to allow space for walkways in front of them. Since there were 3 levels and they did not have supporting columns as in the courtyards, each of the upper levels was set back from the level beneath it. There was an outer wall that separated the rooms from the outer courtyard. It was 87 and a half feet long. This wall added length to the outer block of rooms, which extended for only 87 and a half feet, while the inner block, the rooms toward the temple, extended for 175 feet. There was an eastern entrance from the outer courtyard to these rooms. Now, let me just say something here, right? I'm going to just be honest about this, right? Okay, so I'm wondering if Ezekiel actually remember all of these measurements down to the T like this, right? For it to be recorded and then for it to be translated and copied just like that for many, many decades, right? I'm just like, how do they know the measurements of all this is correct? I'm just saying, these are thoughts that kind of go through my head. I mean, it seems very, very precise, right? It really does. I just want to say that. On the south side of the temple, there were 2 blocks of rooms just south of the inner courtyard between the temple and the outer courtyard. These rooms were arranged just like the rooms on the north. There was a walkway between the 2 blocks of rooms, just like the complex on the north side of the temple. This complex of rooms was the same length as the width of the other one, and it had the same entrances and doors. The dimensions of each were identical. So there was an entrance in the wall facing the doors of the inner block of rooms, and another on the east at the end of the interior walkway. Then the man told me, these rooms that overlook the temple from the north and south are holy. Here the priests who offer sacrifices to Yahuwah will eat the most holy offerings. And because these rooms are holy, they will be used to store the sacred offerings, the grain offerings, the sin offerings, and guilt offerings. When the priests leave the sanctuary, they must not go directly to the outer courtyard. They must first take off the clothes they wore while ministering, because these clothes are holy. They must put on their other clothes before entering the other parts of the building complex open to the public. When the man had finished measuring the inside of the temple area, he led me out through the east gateway to measure the entire perimeter. He measured the east side with his measuring rod, and it was 875 feet long. Then he measured the north side, and it was also 875 feet. The south side was also 875 feet, and the west side was also 875 feet. So the area was 875 feet on each side, with a wall all around it to separate what was holy from what was common. Last chapter for the day, y'all, Ezekiel, chapter 43. Yahuwah's glory returns. After this, the man brought me back around to the east gateway. Suddenly, the glory of the God of Israel appeared from the east. The sound of his coming was like the roar of rushing waters, and the whole landscape shone with his glory. The vision was just like the others I had seen, first by the Kippah River, and then when he came to destroy Jerusalem. I fell face down on the ground, and the glory of Yahuwah came into the temple through the east gateway. Then the Spirit took me up and brought me into the inner courtyard, and the glory of Yahuwah filled the temple. I heard someone speaking to me from within the temple while the man who had been measuring stood beside me. Yahuwah said to me, Son of man, this is the place of my throne and the place where I will rest my feet. I will live here forever among the people of Israel. They and their kings will not defile my holy name any longer by their adulterous worship of other gods or by honoring the relics of their kings who have died. They put their idol altars right next to mine with only a wall between them and me. They defiled my holy name by such detestable sin, so I consumed them in my anger. Now, let them stop worshiping other gods and honoring the relics of their kings, and I will live among them forever. Son of man, describe to the people of Israel the temple I have shown you, so they will be ashamed of all their sins. Let them study its plan, and they will be ashamed of what they have done. Describe to them all the specifications of the temple, including its entrances and exits, and everything else about it. Tell them about its decrees and laws. Write down all these specifications and decrees as they watch, so they will be sure to remember and follow them. And this is the basic law of the temple: absolute holiness. This is the basic law of the temple, from crown to sole. Absolute holiness. It will blow your mind how the dimensions of the temple correlate with the dimensions of the human body. I'm just saying, you should look into it. Think about it. Write down all these specifications and decrees as they watch, so they will be sure to remember and follow them. And this is the basic law of the temple: absolute holiness. The entire top of the mountain where the temple is built is holy. Yes, this is the basic law of the temple, right? The entire top of the mountain where the temple is built is holy, right? The seat of the soul. The altar. These are the measurements of the altar. There is a gutter all around the altar, 21 inches deep and 21 inches wide, with a curve 9 inches wide around its edge. And this is the height of the altar. From the gutter, the altar rises 3.5 feet to a lower ledge that surrounds the altar and is 21 inches wide. From the lower ledge of the altar, right from the lower ledge, the altar rises 7 feet to the upper ledge that is also 21 inches wide. The top of the altar, the hearth, rises another 7 feet higher with a horn rising up from each of the four corners. The top of the altar is square, measuring 21 feet by 21 feet. The upper ledge also forms a square, measuring 24.5 feet by 24.5 feet, with a 21-inch gutter and a 10.5-inch curve all around the edge. There are steps going up the east side of the altar. And then he said to me, Son of man, this is what the sovereign Lord says. These will be the regulations for the burning of offerings and sprinkling of blood when the altar is built. That at that time, the Levitical priests of the family of Zadok who minister before me are to be giving a young bull for a sin offering, says the sovereign Lord. You will take some of its blood and smear it on the four horns of the altar, the four corners of the upper ledge, and the curb that runs around the ledge. This will cleanse and make atonement for the altar. Then the young bull for the sin offering and burn it. Then take the young bull for the sin offering and burn it at the appointed place outside the temple area. On the second day, sacrifice as a sin offering a young male goat that has no physical defects. Then cleanse and make atonement for the altar again, just as you did with a young bull. Then, when you have finished the cleansing ceremony, offer another young bull that has no defects and a perfect ram from the flock. You are to present them to the Lord, and the priests are to sprinkle salt on them and offer them as burnt offerings to the Lord. Every day for 7 days, a male goat, a young bull, and a ram from the flock will be sacrificed as a sin offering. None of these animals may have physical defects of any kind. Do this each day for 7 days to cleanse and make atonement for the altar, thus setting it apart for holy use. On the 8th day and on each day afterward, the priest will sacrifice on the altar the burnt offerings and peace offerings for the people. Then I will accept you. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. And I mentioned this yesterday when we was going through here. It seemed like there is a contradiction that's going on with what this is saying in Yahuwah's character and how he has always been speaking, right? We ain't gonna get deep into it today, but I'm just saying, after you spend all this time actually cleansing and sanctifying and set aside this place, now we're using animal blood to defile it. After you constantly told us that the blood defiles and we're to stay away from it. I'm just saying. It seemed like the tone has changed as we got towards the end, right? So it's possible that that could be added leaven, as I have found it to be in my researching of the sacrifices and stuff, and the leaven that's been added to the loaf from the beginning all the way to the end. That portion is suspect. All right, y'all. So I hope you enjoyed the reading for today. We're gonna hop on over here to Fossilized Customs, where we left off at yesterday on page 341. We're still going through some of these definitions. Look at you, sis. Okay.
And I'm ready to go.
You ready? Wait, where you going? Oh, you think you rolled with me this morning, huh?
You turn that truck.
No, we ain't picking up my truck today. Probably tomorrow.
No.
Okay.
Dad said a minute.
Oh, Dad must be taking you with him then.
No, you coming, Dad coming.
Oh, okay. Oh, so we all going. Okay, go wash your face.
And boys.
Okay, go wash face, brush teeth, put some lip gloss on, sis. If we about to leave, you need to look presentable. Go ahead.
Josh in your bathroom.
Tell him to stay here and get out. Well, wait till he come out. All right. Thank you for that. A bit of information. We start with Hanukkah, right? Okay. Hanukkah. Amazing fact. If there had been no Hanukkah, there would never have been a Christianity. Prior to 186 BCE, a ruthless Greek ruler named Antiochus Epiphanes was forcing Greek customs and religion on the nation of Israel and outlawed the Torah. People were slaughtered. Children were tortured to death in front of their parents, forced to work on the Sabbath, eat swine's flesh, and wear a little beanie. And we read it. Did we read it last time? I think we read it last time when we read Daniel, but we're gonna read it again. So we can have some clarity about those end time prophecy chapters that we're taught about, especially if we grew up in the church or whatever. We hear the book of Daniel connected to Revelation. All this stuff is coming, but they fail to tell us.
The iPhone.
Okay, you can tell them that. They fail to inform us on some of those things that had already happened.
Saya says no, I'm not.
Saya. Hey, don't start with her this morning. She said it's an iPhone, all right? They failed to tell us some of the things that actually happened, which is why a lot of the different books were not canonized with what they decided to put together. Because if you put all this stuff together in one place, you can see, well, wait a minute, what y'all talking about? We can clearly see that this happened here, like literally almost word for word, this happened here, right? So some things that people think is coming has already happened. Some things haven't happened, but some things absolutely have, right? Okay, I just want to say that. Okay. Let's see. Prior to 186 BCE, A ruthless Greek ruler named Antiochus Epiphanes was forcing Greek customs and religion on the nation of Israel and outlawed the Torah. Oh, the portion that we're going to read along with Daniel when we get to it is Maccabees, right? So if you never read Maccabees, the first book of Maccabees and the very first chapter, it tells you about the fulfilling of a portion of Daniel's visions that he had. And it included Antiochus Epiphanes, right? Okay, yes.
Mom, what is this?
I don't know, sis, you drew it.
This is what is it, Mom?
It looks like a cloth. Looks like I don't know. Looks like a claw from something. Okay.
No, Mom, it's a dinosaur.
All right, dinosaur. People were slaughtered. Children were tortured to death in front of their parents, forced to work on the Sabbath, eat swine flesh, and wear the little beanie, a Greek hat of Hermes, Skullcap. The temple was polluted with images of Zeus. Swine was offered on the altar, and new brides were deflowered first by the Greek ruler. Go ahead. Only in extreme secrecy could the young study Torah. During such study, children would hide the Torah scroll and pull out a little toy, a dreidel, the one Hanukkah, that little spin toy, that little, they call it dreidel, little spinning top thing. All right,
Mom,
yes.
Look, Jesus choked me.
Well, I sure hope not. Those are pretzels, babe. Only in extreme secrecy could the young study Torah. During such study, children would hide the Torah scroll and pull out a little toy dreidel when they heard soldiers coming. Thus, they would appear to be playing an innocent game. A Hebrew family, the Maccabees, succeeded in overpowering the Greek forces, and Antiochus was stricken with a fatal intestinal malady. He suffered a lingering, torturous death. His rotting body was such a foul stench that his own men could not bear to go near him. The word Hanukkah or Chanukah is Hebrew, meaning dedication. What was dedicated or rededicated was the temple after a thorough cleansing after the pagans were ejected. It took 8 days to cleanse it. The menorah or the 7-branched lampstand burned its light for the 8 days of cleanup, even though only enough oil was found to last for 1 day. Every year since this dedication, we remember the deliverance from the pagan oppression, which almost wiped out the observances of the commandments, which the Yahudim have preserved as priests of the nations. At John chapter 10, verse 22, Yahushua was walking in the temple area during this festival called Hanukkah. Then came Hanukkah in Jerusalem. It was winter, and Yahushua was walking around inside the temple area in Shlomo's colonnade or Solomon's colonnade. The next word is Hebrew, a language named for Eber, meaning over. This is what is called the Lashon Kodesh, or the set-apart tongue, which will be restored during the 7th millennium. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9. The word comes from Abraham's great-great-great-grandfather, Eber. It was the language our rabbi spoke to Shaul when he was thrown to the ground. And at Acts 26, Paul explains to Agrippa that he heard a voice speaking to him in Hebrew. Actually, that's the only language Yahudim spoke to each other, except for those who were living in foreign lands. Shalom, Mom. Next word is holy. This word became used instead of the Hebrew term Kodesh, which means set apart, to a pagan. Holy related to the sun's glow, explaining the word halo, a glowing nimbus seen on statues and pictures. The pagans called shrines hallowed. The holy halo was to associate the statue of the glowing deity with the yellow sun. At Psalms 51:11, David wrote Ruach HaKodesh in Hebrew, which we see translated Holy Spirit. Ruach means wind or spirit. Even the gold ring used in marriages was inherited from pagan priests who worshiped the sun. Jeezy Pete. Ministers hold it up and say things about eternity and endless devotion. The Latin word Sakari means dedicated and is very close in meaning to Kodesh. J. The letter J didn't exist in any language until the 15th century, at which time printing styles differentiated the letter I when it was used at the beginning of a sentence or the first letter in a proper name. They gave the I a little tail, and now we have a new letter. Since there was no letter in Greek or Latin like the Hebrew yod, Y-O-D, these languages made use of the I or the iota. Jehovah. This is a formulation of the Creator's name, which was promoted by a man named Petrus Galatianus during the 15th century. Encyclopedias will explain this is a double error since it is both a hybrid and a mongrel word. The four Hebrew vowels of the name Yahuwah are Yod, He, He, and are read from right to left. Here's a photo. And I'll pause here. Y'all seen it before, but it's good to see it again. Hold on, make sure I got it all in the picture. Okay. You can screenshot it if you want to. Uncle JB, shalom. Morning. Right. Okay, so it's giving you the name in the English, Hebrew, Aramaic, right? And it's telling you the pagan deity Baal and all that good stuff. Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
I can get more.
What happened to the other ones? That was a whole pack of 4. Your brothers ate some, didn't they? Okay. Go ahead. Clement of Alexandria transliterated these letters into the Greek alphabet as IAOUE. The word is called the Tetragrammaton, which is Greek for 4 letters. It is most often seen as YHWH, or the acronym for Yahweh. When people see it a lot of times, if they don't understand the pronunciation and that the W is actually a double U, which makes the oo sound like ooh, they say Yahweh and they pronounce it wrong. But anyway, they translated that into this. IAOUE is the same as YHWH, is what he was just saying. There is no J, V, or W in ancient Hebrew. The Tetragrammaton YHUH was altered to JHVH, and the added vowels were another mistake invented by the Masoretes to alter the Yahoo to Yeho, to alter the YAHU to YE. Wait, hold on. Did I say that right? Hold on. Hold on. And the added vowels were another mistake invented by the Masoretes to alter the Yahoo, YAHU, to Yeho, YEHO. And I've seen some arguments about this on some famous YouTube channels from some of our brothers and sisters going into this. I'm like, y'all got that wrong. I ain't say nothing though. I just watching. I'm like, okay, everybody's still learning, but I ain't add my 2 cents, because anytime anybody try and say anything, hey, they just come at your head. I'm like, boy, you kind of teachable, but you're not. You got a terrible attitude, and you chew everybody out that say something to you. So I'm just like, yeah, I'll let you go on until you figure it out.
I'm saying this for Josh.
Okay. The 4 letters are vowels: Yod, He, He. The vowel marks invented by the Masorite copyists were inserted under the 4 letters, which were intended to cue or divert a reader to pronounce Adonai instead of pronouncing the name. Adonai is Hebrew for my Lord. The pronouncing of the name was prohibited and therefore considered unutterable. This is a man-made law and a point of contention for Yahusha and the first Nazarene. Okay. The New Testament Messiah was never called Jesus, but rather Yahusha. And he put in parentheses Yah, Y-A-H dash H-O-O dash S-H-A, so you can get the proper pronunciation, right? This is the name as the successor of Moshe. No, hold on. This is the same name as the successor of Moshe, known by most as Joshua, as can be proven in various literary sources, as well as the underlying Greek text at Acts chapter 7 and Hebrews chapter 4, where both names, Jesus and Joshua, have the Greek letters IESOUS as their basis. The Hebrew phrase hallelujah means you praise Yah. Most don't realize they are saying the diminutive form of the name, a hypochorism, or a shortened form or an acronym, right? It is used in many prophets' names: Yashayahu, which is Isaiah; Obadiah, Abediah; Yirmiyahu, which is Jeremiah; Zechariah, which is Zechariah, and others with the ending letters IAH. Jubilees. The original Hebrew word is Yobhel and means ram's horn or leading animal. The late Greek word Ibeleos. All right, throw it away, Paul. Ibeleos, Iobelaios, was based on Hebrew. The measurements of time in the scriptural model are not centuries, but rather jubilees, spans of 50 years. The 10th day of the 7th moon of every 50th year being the time that all property is returned to the original owner or heirs according to the primogeniture. 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 A jubilee also requires the release of all Hebrew slaves. The land is given a rest also. Land is to rest every 7th year anyway. Since Adam died before he lived a complete day, a day is 1,000 years to Yahuwah. He lived 18 jubilees plus 30 years, or 930 years, 70 short of 1,000. 20 jubilees is 1,000 years. The year of Jubilee is referred to in the inscription on the Liberty Bell at Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants, being words taken out of context from Leviticus 25 through 10. The complete sentence says, "And you shall set apart the 50th year and proclaim release throughout all the land and to all its inhabitants. It is a jubilee or yobhel to you." The text at Genesis 6 and 3 says, "Mortals will be given 120 years. Then Yahuwah would bring about a complete change because he will not contend with man, the Adam, forever." The allotted time for man before the messianic age of rest will be 120 jubilees, 6,000 years. That's what 120 jubilees is 6,000 years. Shalom, Valerie Yah. Fire will be brought upon the earth, and the very elements themselves will burn. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 12. The Messianic age will occur at the beginning of the 7th day, as foreshadowed by the unfulfilled redemptive shadows outlined of the 7th month's appointed times of Yom Teruah, which is the Feast of Trumpets, now called Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, which is Day of Atonement, and Sukkot, or the tents of the festival of tents, booths, shelters, tabernacles. All those names is the same as Sukkot. All right. Okay. I'm going to read this for the sake of his timekeeping and what he's saying. He said, our Mashiach was sacrificed approximately 80 jubilees from Adam's beginning, and we are about 80 jubilees away from Noah's flood right now. Yahusha said, the coming of the Son of Man will be just like the days of Noah. Knack. People say, you really got a knack for doing that. A knack is a term for a spirit demon that will start to possess a person like the nine muses, enabling them to have certain abilities. The Quran, the sacred text of Islam, believed to contain the revelations by Allah to Muhammad. It is also called Al Quran. The Arabic word Quran means reading or recitation. It comes from the original Hebrew word Korah, which means to read or recite. Korah, Qara, is the Hebrew for proclaim. Israel's half brothers, the Ishmaelites or Arabs, use a lot of Hebrew words.
So you're to eat some candy.
Okay, that's cool. The word Arab is from
Mom.
Ereb,
Mom.
E-R-E-B.
Just eat all the Reese's.
Okay, Josiah, don't touch no more of the Reese's. She shared with you. That didn't mean you take all of them and eat them. All right, be fair. Okay.
I want that.
Go ahead.
So I said, more.
Well, there is no more. Except for the one you said you was going to put in there for Josh. You now coming back to get the one that you put up there for Josh?
I'm going to get this one.
You going to eat it? Well, thank you for your candor. She put it in there for a brother. Then she came back. She can eat it herself. Whatever. The word Arab is from Ereb, E-R-E-B, which is Hebrew for evening or darkening. They named their children Dawid, Yaakub, Asha, etc., all Hebrew names. They speak Hebrew without the Masoretic errors. Christianity and Islam both ignore Torah. Kosher. This is from a three-letter Hebrew word, kasher, and means approved, proper, or appropriate. The consumption of approved animal flesh is stressed.
I touched my finger.
Okay, don't let him touch it. Keep your hand off her stuff, boy. Bella, just go in the dining room and eat it, okay? And go sit by yourself and eat your piece of Reese's.
No, it's not pizza, Reese's.
You know what I meant. The consumption of approved animal flesh is stressed at Genesis 9, 3 and 4, Leviticus 3 and 17, 7, 26, 27, 11, 1 through 47, Leviticus 17, 10 through 14, and Acts chapter 15 and 20, and Acts chapter 15 and 29. Acts 10 and Mark 7 are often used to annul the distinction of the clean and unclean. Those who permit themselves to be misled this way should read Isaiah 66 and 17. On the day of Yahuwah, those who approve for themselves to eat whatever they wish from the garden or farm, who eat swine's flesh, detestable things, and mice, shall come to an end altogether. That means those of you who eating stuff you shouldn't be eating, but you standing in front of people saying you're not, he said, you can be dealt with just like the ones who eating it in public in front of everybody, right? I'm gonna catch you in secret. I'm gonna make it public. The KJV will show the added words in parentheses from Mark chapter 7 to 19. At Acts chapter 10, Peter woke up and was greatly perplexed in mind as to what the vision which he had seen might be. Behold, the men, 3 Gentiles, who had been sent by Cornelius, appeared at the gate. Acts chapter 10, verse 17. The 3 sheets of unclean animals referred to the 3 Gentiles who were at his gate, whom Peter would otherwise never have gone with or entered their residence without this vision. This is explained by Peter himself at Acts chapter 11, verse 18. So don't use that chapter for an excuse saying that you can eat swine's flesh and some of the other things that are detestable or not good for human consumption, right? You will say his people don't eat stuff like this, right? But I will go even further to say, right, that even some of those dietary laws have been tampered with simply because when you consume any kind of flesh at all, clean or unclean, it putrefies and decays in the body. Our intestines, like, remember, I always say it, don't matter what the books say, because it can be and it has been tampered with. The only way we can prove what is the true, authentic words of Yah is what we can prove and verify, not just in nature, but also in our bodies. And our bodies tell us that meat is not good for us. It tastes good. You may pull you may think you pull some type of nutrients from it, but keep on eating. I know some people they gonna want to argue. Well, my grandparents ate meat all the days of their life and they still just as strong. I don't care. Let's look at their insides, right? Let's look at their intestines. The intestines tell us a totally different story, right? So you'll never be able to fool me on that. I will go as far to say as I ain't telling you not to eat meat. I'm just saying what happens to the body. The body says we don't like this. That's not what's supposed to be happening. Now we got to figure out, we got to go into overdrive. We got to put you to sleep to try and break down this foreign object matter that you didn't just ingested, right? And all of it doesn't come out. If you have never done a colon cleanse and you a meat eater, you've never done a colon cleanse all the days of your life, or you've never done a 40-day water fast, it will blow your friggin' mind what comes out of you between the 10th and the 14th day, right? Between the 10th and the 14th day, your body is fine. If you're hydrating yourself appropriately, your body is going to expel all that foreign matter that has been caked up in your colon for years and decades. If you've been alive long enough, right? You're not gonna, first of all, it's gonna be like, wait, first of all, how in the world did all of that come out of me, right? It's not like a normal bathroom session where you go. It's like a huge, like when it releases, it releases. When you go to release it, you ain't gonna stop it. It's just gonna keep coming because it'll be hydrated enough where it will all leave your body, right? If it was okay, this wouldn't be happening. We wouldn't have to do colon cleanse because things are getting stuck, right? Things should not be getting stuck inside your colon. I'm gonna just leave it at that. We won't get into that today, but I'm just saying. Those of y'all that know. Those that don't know, maybe you'll learn. Okay. The 3 sheets of unclean animals referred to the Gentiles who were at his gate, whom Peter would otherwise have never gone with or entered their residence without this vision. This is explained by Peter himself at Acts chapter 11, verse 18. Next word is the mark of the beast. Without the Torah to make one wise, this mark or sign cannot be determined. This calls for wisdom and involves a riddle. The covenant, the Torah, is the marriage covenant with Israel and has a mark or sign called the sign of the eternal covenant. It is mutually exclusive from the beast mark. Stop making all that noise, girl. All covenants made by Yahuwah have such a sign. The reign of Babel, or mother of harlots, has established a sign, and it has remained the same within Catholicism and her daughters, which follow after her. This system of authority is called a beast because dumb animals have no regard for Yahuwah's appointments, processes, or invitations. The festivals of Yahuwah, he proclaims at Leviticus 23 and Deuteronomy chapter 16, are described in the parables, like Luke chapter 14, verses 15 through 24. The wife of Yahuwah carries the sign of the Sabbath, and Satan is waging war against this woman and her offspring and the covenant. Revelation chapter 12 and 17. The outward sign or mark of Yahuwah is how we acknowledge him as creator. Genesis 2 and 3, Exodus 20, verse 11, Hebrews chapter 4 and 4. Exodus 31 and 13 declares that Sabbath, the weekly and annual appointments, are a sign between Yahuwah and his people forever. Sabbath is celebrated from evening to evening. Come here, little girl. First of all, you must have just forgot who you was responding to. Don't you say what to me. Quit rolling in that chair. Take it back in there. Take it back in there. What did she finish making all that noise? Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Okay. Y'all done been here long enough to hear me talk about the evening to evening and what it is, and it doesn't mean the night of the ninth day all the way into the night of the 10th day. That's not what Yahuwah means, right? There's only one day that he specifically talked about to observe from evening to evening, and that was the Day of Atonement. That is it. For him to call it out like that tells us that it is not like all the other days. Like we had to isolate it and tell you specifically when to observe this. And it's a span over 2 days, right? And then when he called that out, that should also give us a clue, wake us up. Wait a minute, from evening to evening is a span of 2 days. Wait a minute. So one day and one day, no, the Sabbath is a full single day. It's the full 7th day, not the 6th day into the 7th, or the 7th day into the 8th, or if you're doing cycles of 7, not the 7th back into the 1st. It's the complete 7th day. It doesn't span the course of 2 days. It does not. It does not. It does not. Right? And evening to evening, what people think evening to evening, like nighttime of this night, and then to the next day, the nighttime of the next night, that is not what evening to evening is. Understanding evening in the English language, you would think, okay, the end of the day is the evening. That's why the English language plays on so many words. But the evening to evening, if you go back and do the proper uncovering of what that meant, is from dawn to dusk, right? To cap the day period. Remember, the day is encapsulated by 2 evening periods. In the proper terms, the dawn and the dusk, and then comes night. That's a full complete cycle for every single day. We can prove it by going outside, just sitting out there for a couple days and watch what happens with the sky. The evening come. Remember, y'all always say, if you were put outside, if you were discombobulated and you were put outside at an evening period, you had no sense of time, didn't have any watches or anything, right? You was put in an unfamiliar era at an evening period. You would not know whether you were at the beginning of the day or the end of the day until the day continued to progress. Now, if this evening period, or this little gray, hazy type look, if it's early in the morning, then the sun would rise and we're at the beginning of the day. But if you were set in the evening period and then it progressively got darker, then you're at the end of the day, meaning the light has gone out and the night is coming in, right? It's just common sense when we go out there and observe it. They write things and try and teach you things and try to get you to ignore what's right in front of your face. And it's been that way all your life. So now we become super spiritually dumb by reading words and ignoring actual nature that you operate in. How does this happen? Boy, I tell you, the witchery behind words and spells in the English language, it is real. And people is taken by it. It causes you to just completely lose all your common sense. All your common sense, right? Talk about zombie apocalypse. You are a zombie. The outward sign or mark of Yahuwah is how we acknowledge him as creator. Genesis 2 and 3, Exodus 20 and 11, Hebrews 4 and 4. Exodus 31 and 13 declares that Sabbath, the weekly and annual appointments, are a sign between Yahuwah and his people forever. The Sabbath is celebrated from evening to evening, or dawn to dusk, right? Isaiah 66:23 speaks of a future time when, after the burning of the earth, the people of all nations who serve Yahuwah will bow down from Sabbath to Sabbath. Converts like Cornelius became engrafted into Israel and rested on the Sabbath. Gentiles in general are referred to as dogs or figuratively as beasts, like the Canaanite woman was at Matthew 15:26. The Babylonian Sunday was imposed as a mark under the penalty of death by Constantine the First, and unknowingly the mark of the beast has been placed on everyone who follows after the beast. In the days of the seventh angel, Revelation chapter 10 and 7, the mystery of these things is to be revealed, exposing Satan who leads the whole world astray. And when you really come to the realization that it just hasn't been Yahuwah's people that have been led astray, but all the world, which is why as the nations wake up and realize like, man, we have inherited lies from our fathers. Like, y'all wasn't lying. They lied to us too. Yo, the whole world has been fooled about what's really going on here. People don't want to talk about it. People clinging. They're trying to cling to anything that still makes sense, right? And everybody is falling. They slip in the sand and the water's washing them away. Then I saw another angel flying in midair, and he had the eternal message to proclaim to those who live on the earth, to every nation, tribe, language, and people. He said in a loud voice, "Fear Yahuwah and give him esteem, because the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him who made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and the springs of water." Revelation 14:7. The sign of this worship is Sabbath and is seen prominently in those who obey Yahuwah's commandments and hold to the hold on. Yeah. Yeah, that should have been the end of the sentence. Those who obey and keep Yahuwah's commands. Revelation chapter 12:17. No lie is found in the mouths of his redeemed, those who have been sealed with the Father's name. Read all of Revelation chapter 14. A Mitre. This is a pagan religious hat originating in the worship of Dagon, the chief deity of the Philistines, a sea people. Its name, Mitre, Mitre, comes from the name Mithras. Popes, bishops, and cardinals wear them in the Church of Rome, and the Anglican Church also uses them to, that big hat that the Pope be wearing. Yeah. Moabite stone. This stone, over 3 feet high, was discovered in 1868 CE and was broken by rabbis in order to fetch more money for each piece. It contains the Paleo Hebrew script, and the name of Yahuwah is written on it. Moshe. This is the name distorted to Moses, and it means to draw out. He was born during the time when all male children of Israel were to be destroyed at birth in Egypt. Pharaoh's daughter named him Hebrew because she drew him out of the water. Pharaoh's daughter named him this Hebrew name because she drew him out of the water. He drew out the children of Israel from Egypt. Rabbi. Hebrew. Rabbi is Hebrew for my teacher. Yahushua was called Rabbi by his pupils and others in Matthew 26:25, Matthew 26:49, Mark 9 and 5, Mark 10:51, Mark 11:21, Mark 14:45, John 1 and 3, John 3 and 2, John 3 and 26, John 4:31, John 6:25, John 9 and 2, John 11 and 8, John 20 and 16, and many other places where the word teacher or master were translated. Let's see. He's the only one we call rabbi, as he directed us in Matthew 23 and 8. I can say something about that, but I'm gonna keep reading. We can only aspire to be assistant rabbi or assistant pastor. There is only one shepherd and one flock. Pastor in Latin is Latin for shepherd, a sheep herder. Rome. The language of the Romans was called Roma. The empire was called by the capital head of it, after a Etruscan, 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 after a Etruscan myth of two orphaned boys named Romulus and Remus. This city is located in what is called Italy, where the pre-Roman civilization of Etruria was, 5th century BCE. Tzitzit, Hebrew for tassels, at Numbers 15, 38 and 39, Deuteronomy chapter 22 and 12, we are commanded to wear tassels at the four corners of our garments, attached with a blue cord. The throne of Yahuwah is on a sea of blue sapphire, and the color blue is to remind us of the Torah each time we see our tassels. At Matthew chapter 20, at Matthew chapter 9 verse 20 and 14 and 36, the text states that his tassels were touched by many people and they were healed by doing so. He criticized the Pharisees for lengthening their tassels to make a show of outward righteousness. This is not a talisman like a pagan would use. Pagan relied on objects to confer protection or powers over evil with runes, amulets, stones, tags, scapulas, necklaces, rings, and wands. This is idolatry. Wearing crosses, medals, making magic signs, waving in the air, splashing water, or counting on a rosary is no different from voodoo. They may as well they may as well twirl a chicken over their heads. Tzitzits are intended to remind us to obey the Torah always. Yarmulke. I I know I said that wrong. Yarmulke. This is Yiddish. This Yiddish form is based on Hebrew fear of the king. The kippah or skullcap is seen worn by the Pope and most Orthodox Yahudim on the street, in the classroom, and in synagogues. Moshe or Moses would not know what it is. Alfred J. Kolak, an Orthodox author, states the skullcap has no religious significance in Jewish law. He goes on to say that it has no basis in scriptural or rabbinical law. To trace the use of the cap to its source, we find that it came into wider use only in the 17th century, where before that only a few Yahudim used it. Did Yahushua wear a kippah? All researchers and historians say no, and there is no evidence of its use in archaeological research. The Pope of Rome and his cardinals wear them, but that is because it was originally a Greek hat, a Greek hat of a scholar called the hat of Hermes. Hermes is a pagan idol, of course. The cap and gown of graduates from schools and universities employs the hat of Hermes topped with a square mason's board. That makes sense. A mason is a layer of bricks, and the mason board holds the cement mix. Architects and builders form organized unions or guilds to train and test the skills of their members. Those who didn't qualify were declared righteous. They wore aprons of righteousness. The scholars graduated through different levels in their guilds, from apprentice to journeyman, then journeyman to master. Prior to 186 BCE, the land of Israel was ruled by a Greek Seleucid, Antiochus Epiphanes. Guys, I forgot this Roman numeral again. I was practicing them, but I forgot. IV, whichever IV is, I forget. He was extremely cruel and outlawed the Hebrew Torah. He forced his Greek customs on the population. In the record of Second Maccabees, an apostate high priest named Jason in translation, but really named Yeshua, helped this Greek ruler impose the Greek ways of living, and abrogating the lawful way of living, he introduced new customs contrary to the Torah for he willingly established a gymnasium right under the citadel or the temple, and he made the finest of young men wear the Greek hat. Thank you, Tiffany. 4. That's right, 4. That's Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth, right? IV is the Roman numeral for 4. All right, so now they show a picture of the hat of Hermes, the Greek deity of wisdom, right? So you see your Orthodox rabbis and Jewish people wearing this particular one, and people that's waking up to their Hebrew roots thinking, oh, this is what we supposed to do. This is what we supposed to do. No. Take that crap off the back of your head. When I see you, I'm gonna walk past and smack it off the back of your head. Right? And so when you graduate from college, this is what they give you. It's representing the same thing. It's representing the same exact thing. Yeah. Wow. A gentleman and a scholar, the Skullcap of the Greeks. Paul writes at 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 7, that a man is not to have his head covered in the assembly, but a woman is required to keep from dishonoring one another's headship. Yahuwah is the man's head, while the woman's head is her husband. We are to follow the Torah and not add to it in any way. Do not add nor take away from it. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 32. Man-made customs, including all the camouflage paganism found in Christendom, are traditions that are forbidden in the worship of Yahuwah. They represent more than a strange fire, but are like a golden calf. It is forbidden to worship him after the customs of the pagans. The one who says he abides in him ought himself to walk in the same manner as he walked. That's found in 1 John chapter 2 and verse 6. And that is where we are going to pause for today. So that actually ends the section of the definitions, but the next section is Hebrew idioms, which is still is giving you definitions, but it's not like this is actually explaining like what is an idiom, what is a maxim, what is a parable, all those things. And this is pretty good, right? All right, so we'll pick this back up tomorrow. Let me see. Let me write this song. It should be on this page. Okay. All right, y'all. So it is Friday. Hey, it's Friday. Hey, it's Friday. Hey. August the 20th, 2021, day 238 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 907. Remember, that is without the feast days or the Sabbath feast. That is without the Sabbath days or the feast day Sabbath days added into the count, because we are commanded to rest, and we do. We read Ezekiel chapter 41, 42, and 43, and we read Fossilized Customs, page 341 to page 346. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and do the blessings. Go ahead and get out of here. I hope y'all enjoy y'all weekend. I know I'm going to see y'all tomorrow, but, some of y'all starting y'all weekend. Have fun.
Mom.
Think we're going to take the cheering to the water park.
Mom,
yes.
Packing.
You're packing? Okay.
And you have to come.
All right. You packing? I got to come?
Yep.
Okay. Where we going, sis?
Let's go in airplane.
We're going to an airplane?
Yeah.
Where we flying to?
I'm going airport.
We're going to the airport? Where the airport taking us, sis? Where we going? We going on vacation? Where we going? We going somewhere. It's a surprise. You ain't gonna tell me where we going. You cannot tell me? Okay. Well, I hope it's someplace good. The blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6. I have to come? Okay. Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. You come to get me now? Okay, hold on. We're gonna close this out and I'll let you end it. So remember, the blessing is the first 21 verses of Numbers chapter 6 is the Nazarite vow. Man or woman can take it.
Yeah. Why us have two cars?
Because we do.
Us can drive.
Yeah, we can drive.
Look, Mom.
What?
Look.
What?
Look.
What?
Look.
Thanks, girl.
Mm.
Hold on. You gotta help me do this blessing. But you about to put your face in here. Hold on. In the world. Hold on. Keep your face still. Oh yeah. I ain't gonna poke you in the eye. I'm trying to. All right. All right.
Us can drive in that.
No. We're gonna put that one in the shop. Okay. The blessing. Start at verse 22.
Mom.
Wait a minute. Wait. Let's just do the blessing, sis. Then you can talk. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being, bringing us order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. That's it. Wait, girl! Oh my gosh, let me say bye. She almost hung y'all up, Facebook. Okay. All right, y'all. With that being said, I'll see y'all. Hold on. I see y'all. Stop, girl. I'll see y'all tomorrow. She doing the most. All right. Go ahead and end it. All right, Facebook. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she done did it. Okay, I saw some comments over here. Okay. Mosaic Law, Esther. Thank you for that. Okay, y'all. All right, y'all. That's it. I see y'all back here tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bruce. Go ahead and end it, sis.
I keep ending it 2 times.
Because that's just the way YouTube set it up. And
Done.
bye.